And I saw this screenshotted, so I did not get a direct link. I had to go look for it on dailywire.com, but it's real. It's absolutely real, and it's true. And it is the best thing in the world. Over 100 police agencies pull out of agreements to guard DNC convention. Yes. Yes. Oh. Oh, that is beautiful. It's amazing. This is perfect. Okay, let's just read. More than 100 law enforcement agencies have reportedly pulled out of security agreements to send personnel to help with security at the Democratic National Convention next month, in part because they are concerned about recent efforts to limit law enforcement's use of tear gas and pepper spray in responding to violent riots. Okay, Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales was ordered last month to change the department's policies to ban the use of tear gas and pepper spray. Since the Milwaukee order was issued, more than 100 law enforcement agencies in Wisconsin and across the country decided against coming to Milwaukee. Morales told a television show of the Associated Press, some local TV station, WTJM, MJ TV, on Tuesday. They were concerned with directives placed on the police department, including not allowing tear gas or pepper spray, he said. In Wisconsin, Franklin Police Chief Rick Oliva said it's apparent that there is a lack of commitment to provide the Milwaukee Police Department with the resources it needs to ensure the safety of peaceful protesters, attendees, citizens, and police personnel. I cannot send personnel if they are not properly equipped or will be allowed to engage in appropriate actions that would ensure their safety. Fucking bravo. The Democratic Party has successfully pissed off and rendered useless 100 police departments that they had contracted to defend them. Oh my goodness, this, oh, mwah, mwah. Oh, this is beautiful. I am not even going to try and pronounce that city. Waukesha, Police Chief Daniel Thompson responded by indicating that his department would not be sending officers to event, saying, "I understand that the use of chemical irritants and pepper spray is serious, and those are to be used only when legally justified. But when you take that out of the continuum, that doesn't leave the officers much other than getting harmed or using deadly force, and that's not good for any officer or the public." Fucking men. The news comes as violent left-wing riots have rocked multiple cities across the U.S. in the weeks since the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Oh my gosh. Unfortunately, I'm going to say fortuitously, serendipitously, some have chosen to respond to George Floyd's death in a far less productive way by demonizing the police, promoting slogans like ACAB, all cops are bastards, and making grossly irresponsible proposals to defund the police. Attorney General William Barr said in prepared remarks to the Democrat-controlled House Judiciary Committee on Tuesday. The demonization of police is not only unfair and inconsistent with the principle that all people should be treated as individuals, but gravely injurious to our inner-city communities. There is no harder job in America today than being a police officer. Democrat Rep. Ilhan Omar of Minnesota suggested that police were a cancer during a rant last month, adding, "We are saying we don't want your damn reforms." Oof. Shot down by the Muslim in chief. Oh. Oh my gosh. Minneapolis Police Department is rotten to the root. Okay. I actually did a video on this. And they are rotten to the root. And do you know why they're rotten to the root? Minneapolis Police Department is rotten to the root because they chose diversity over competence. And I shit you not, the reason that the Minneapolis Police Department was as shit as it was is because after the first openly Latina lesbian police chief completely fucked up her job, the guy they let take over was the first black police chief of Minneapolis, who, by the way, was the former commander of internal fucking affairs. And the reason why that's a big deal to point out is because this police chief of the former commander of the internal affairs unit had essentially fostered a culture where he trained his officers to not document and file reports when reports were asked to be filed. People would complain or ask for or call police out for an incident, and they would ask for a report to be filed, and these pieces of shit, because they had training from a former commander of internal affairs, would intentionally not file reports, and then they would be reported on by an internal investigation team, and when the disciplinary action came to light, it was revealed that for not filing a report, no disciplinary action was ever taken against these officers. Why? Because their police chief was a former commander of internal affairs, and he was using a lack of paperwork to cover his officers' asses because he wanted to look better than they were. That's why they were rotten to the root. Oh, yeah, and of course, they're all Democrats. I shit you not. The Minneapolis Police Department was rotten to the root because they were Democrat, because they chose diversity over competence. That is why they were rotten. So don't let this anti-police rhetoric from Ilhan Omar, spark you off against, tackling a bigger problematic issue, a systemic issue. The systemic issue is the Democrats. Point blank. So when we dismantle it, we get rid of that cancer, we allow for something beautiful to rise, and that reimagining allows us to figure out what public safety looks like for us. Except it fucking doesn't. You've already been in charge. You are the cancer, fucking cunt. In Portland, violent extremists have attacked a federal courthouse for weeks, which Barr described as an assault on the government of the United States, and he ain't wrong. He is completely justified with that ascertainment. In recent nights, rioters have barricaded the front door of the courthouse, pried plywood off the windows with crowbars, and thrown commercial-grade fireworks into the building in an apparent attempt to burn it down with the federal personnel inside. The rioters have started fires outside the building and then systematically attacked federal law enforcement officers who attempt to put them out. For example, by pelting the officers with rocks, frozen water bottles, cans of food, and balloons filled with fecal matter. A recent video showed a mob enthusiastically beating a deputy U.S. Marshal who's trying to protect the courthouse, a property of the United States government funded by this Congress, from further destruction. A number of federal officers have been injured, including one severely burned by a mortar-style firework, and 3 who have suffered serious eye injuries and may be permanently blind. Many top Democrats have reacted to the deployment of federal officers in response to the extremist attacks by smearing them or by lying about what is happening. Now, that is the end of the article, and it did devolve into giving a cultural assessment as to the backdrop of this development. But the prime development is, in fact, over 100 police agencies have pulled out of agreements to guard the DNC convention. You know what? It serves them fucking right. It serves them right. You want to hamstring the cops? You want to tell them that they're not allowed to use mace or pepper spray or other means of I don't want to say non-lethal, but anything less than lethal force? Then if you want to hamstring that, then you know what? Go fuck yourselves. Seriously. You don't want. This is asking for people to die at the Democratic National Convention. This is asking for people to die for what? Political grandstanding? You're gonna have police there who are not able to do their fucking jobs? Good on the police. I am glad that over 100 police agencies have pulled out of these agreements. And it shows us that at least the police as a body and as a whole and as an ethos have not completely lost their fucking minds. They are not completely bought and sold by this corrupt and utterly inept and broken policies that the Democrats want to force on not just the police, but on the rest of us. They don't want any of us to be able to defend ourselves against their mob. And make no mistake, this is their mob. And they're using their mob for political points against the American individual.